log on it, and they dug a hole about 3 or 4 feet deep and buried this log in it. And they dropped me in this hole and then pretended that they did go away and leave me for about 3 or 4 minutes, scared the living daylights out of me.
So that covers the question, what are some of the earliest memories of your siblings?
And then we moved. They were going to turn the lights on January 1st, and Christmas week we had to move to the farm that we owned, and the house had absolutely no insulation, and it was boxing plank. It was papered, but it was one of those things where if the wind blew, you could watch the wallpaper move in and out.
Oh dear.
And so the next spring, Daddy had the house remodeled, and they put double walls in it, and over the boxing plank, they put siding, which made it considerably warmer. But we had a really cold winter, and the winter we lived there, or the rest of the winter we lived in it the way it was. And Mother had a half a gallon of milk sitting on the dining table, and it froze solid.
Oh my God.
So you couldn't have oatmeal for breakfast. So what she did was she just scraped the milk frozen, and we put sugar and vanilla flavoring on it and had ice cream for breakfast.
What are your earliest memories of your siblings, and how did you get along with them?
Well, Lita claimed she was the one that always had to take care of me while Mother and Daddy milked. And we had this big rocking chair. Of course, we had none of the modern stuff for kids. And we had this big rocking chair, and they used to tie something across it where I couldn't fall out.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be playing outside, and they would fight over who had to come up on the porch and started to rocking again. And Gib was pretty mean to his sisters. He once hit Martha we were picking cotton, and he took a green cotton bowl and hit her and raised a blister on her leg. And one time we had a mud ball fight. He got in the loft of the barn, and we would take persimmon sprouts that were about this long, and you used them and you shot mud balls with them. And it was us three girls against him.
Who won?
Well, he did, of course.
Of course.
And I crawfished. We had a little pond, and one day I caught 102 crawfish.
Wow. Who were your neighbors?
Well, we had Mrs. Smith's son and his kids came to live with her, and so Junior and Huey Lynn Smith and Charlene Smith were about the closest neighbors we had. Junior was a couple of years older than I was, and Huey Lynn was 2 or 3 years younger than I was. But who I played with most was my cousin Joe Charles, who died when he was 20.
How did he die?
They don't know exactly what was wrong with him. He had been playing baseball in the summer, and he got hit in the back of the neck with somebody threw a baseball bat, and it hit him in the back of the neck. And after that, he started having some seizures, and he got to where he couldn't pick up his slice with his right hand. He took both hands, and he a couple times ran really high fever. They thought maybe he had polio, but it was in January, which, that didn't compute.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the neurologist said at that time that the best they could tell was that he had had an injury to that motor center at the back of his neck, and they didn't know what was wrong with him.
And he was Lois's child?
Her youngest child, and he was my best friend all the time I was growing up.
How much older than you?
He was about a year and a half.
Oh, so pretty close.
Yeah, he had a horse named, when he got to be a teenager, he had a horse named Gypsy.
Ah.
And I'd ride behind him behind the saddle. I was scared.